I told everyone I left OnlyFans because my boyfriend couldn't handle my sexual empowerment, but that's not what happened at all. I was the one who weaponized my body against us, and when I finally confessed, his eyes changed in a way I still see when I close mine. People say I was brave for admitting it, but bravery had nothing to do with what I actually did. The truth is, I wasn't just hiding the account. I was hiding whose eyes I knew would find those videos. And when you hear the whole story, the receipts, the timestamps, the specific video that made him pack in 3 hours, you'll understand that some confessions are just controlled explosions designed to bury the real blast. I was 27 when the gallery cut my hours for the third time in 6 months. Marcus was already asleep, his kindergarten teacher body splayed across our mattress in that irritatingly peaceful way he had. I watched the rise and fall of his chest, calculating how many more weeks we could float on his salary before I'd have to crawl back to my parents in Connecticut. The idea came from a DM, actually. A photographer I'd worked with once posted his monthly earnings from what he called artistic subscription content. $10,000 for photos I'd have deemed too vulnerable for my portfolio. I clicked through his link, studied the aesthetic, noted the timestamps. All posted during daylight hours, all featuring subjects who looked vaguely like they could be anyone. Marcus left for work at 7:15 every morning. The kindergarten was 3 blocks away. I had entire days. My first videos were almost clinical. A study of form, light across skin, the architecture of solitude. I used our apartment because the morning light through our bedroom window made my collarbones look expensive. I told myself the space was mine too, that Marcus existed in these rooms only after dark, when the subscribers had logged off for the night. The money appeared in my account 3 weeks later. $800, more than my bi-weekly gallery check. I bought Marcus a watch he'd been eyeing, something sleek and silver that caught the light when he graded papers. He kissed my forehead, called me his miracle, and asked if I'd finally sold a piece. I said yes. The lie felt small enough to cup in my palm. But the requests started coming. Subscribers wanted more than performance. They wanted intimacy. They wanted to believe they were seeing something private. I posted on Tuesdays because Marcus had staff meetings. I filmed in our bed because the gray sheets looked minimalist. I angled the camera toward the nightstand where his glasses sat, a tiny detail that made the scene feel lived-in, real. The subscribers loved it. The money doubled. The first time I filmed us, it was accidental. He'd fallen asleep after, his breathing deep and rhythmic. The camera was still running from my solo session earlier. I watched the footage back, saw the way my body moved against his unconscious form, and felt something dangerous spark. This was different. This felt like power I hadn't earned. I posted a 5-second clip, just my back arched, his hand out of focus, faceless, anonymous. It earned $3,000 in one night. I told myself I wasn't hurting him. He was faceless, nameless. A blurred hand, a voice distorted when I left the audio on. I told myself I was providing for us in a way my art never could. I was being resourceful. Marcus would understand when I finally told him. I'd reveal the nest egg, show him the down payment I'd saved for the house he wanted. The Tuesday parent-teacher conference was running long. I checked his location, still at school. Posted a video tease with the caption, "Waiting for him to come home." The subscribers loved the implication. The tips quadrupled. That night, Marcus came home late, his face drawn. A parent had gotten too drunk at the conference, had cornered him in the parking lot. He described the man's breath, the way he'd slurred his words, the aggressive questions about Marcus's pretty girlfriend. He kept asking what you did for work, Marcus said, rubbing his temples. Like he was testing me. My blood turned to ice. What did you tell him? That you're an artist, which is true. What was his name? Marcus looked at me surprised. Why does that matter? Just curious which parents are nightmares. He told me. I searched Facebook that night, found the man's profile. His wife taught 3rd grade at a different school. Not kindergarten. Not my kindergarten. I exhaled. False alarm. But the next Tuesday, the payment from that specific subscriber, the one who'd asked about the tattoo, stopped coming. The account went dark. In its place, a new subscriber appeared, using a username that was just a woman's first name, Rebecca. She liked every video that featured the tattoo. She commented on the ones with the college t-shirt. Her payments came through at exactly 3:30 in the afternoon. Kindergarten dismissal time. The message from Rebecca came on a Saturday. Marcus was at the park, grading papers in the sun. I was home, filming a requested video in his favorite armchair, wearing nothing but his college hoodie. I know who you are, the message read. I know who he is, we need to talk. My hands shook so hard I dropped the phone. It clattered against the hardwood I'd insisted we install last year, the money from a particularly viral video. I stared at the screen at those 7 words and felt the foundation of my secret life crack. She sent a photo. A school picture day photo, Marcus surrounded by 5-year-olds, his geometric tattoo visible where he'd rolled up his sleeves. One of those children was her son. She taught kindergarten across town, but they'd met at district meetings. She knew his body. She knew our apartment from background glimpses in my videos. She'd recognized the painting above our bed, the one I'd made in college, visible in the mirror during my last post. "You're sleeping with my husband," she wrote, "and posting it online." I called her immediately, my voice a stranger's. "It's not what you think." She paused too long. The silence stretched between us, a living thing. "He's not sleeping with you," I said. "I'm filming us, he doesn't know." The words hung there, hideous and exposed. I had just admitted to documenting non-consensual intimacy. I just confessed to creating revenge porn, essentially, but in that moment my only thought was survival. "You're what?" Her voice cracked. "I needed money. He doesn't know. Please, I'll delete everything. I'll stop." She was quiet a long time. I heard children in the background, the chaos of a weekend birthday party. "You're going to tell him," she said. "Or I will, and I'll bring the evidence to the school board, because this isn't just cheating. This is distribution of intimate images without consent. That's a crime." I felt the floor tilt. "You can't his career. You should have thought of that before you posted his naked body online for strangers to pay for." She hung up. I sat in his armchair, in his hoodie, surrounded by evidence of my invasion. The camera was still running from the interrupted filming. It captured my face, my panic, my complete collapse. I told myself she was bluffing, that she wouldn't destroy Marcus's career over this, that I could fix it. I deleted the account that afternoon, scrubbed every video I could access, prayed the internet had a memory as short as mine was selective. But I knew better. I'd been a photographer. I knew every image existed somewhere, cached, downloaded, saved. You couldn't unring a bell like this. You couldn't close a door you'd blown off its hinges. When Marcus came home, I was drunk. I'd finished a bottle of wine from the rack we'd bought together, the expensive one we'd been saving for our anniversary. He found me on the fire escape, smoking his secret cigarettes. "Babe," he approached slowly, like I was a spooked animal. "What's wrong?" I looked at him, at his face still flushed from the sun, his eyes so oblivious, so trusting. And I realized I couldn't tell him, not the truth. I couldn't say, "I've been selling images of your body, your intimacy, your private moments to strangers who paid to own pieces of you." So I told him a smaller truth, a controlled explosion. "I need to tell you something," I said. "I've been doing OnlyFans." He stared at me like I'd spoken in a language he'd never learned. "You've been doing what?" "OnlyFans, for the money, just me alone, nothing else." The lies came smoothly, pre-rehearsed. I'd been crafting this version of events since the moment I'd clicked upload on that first video. I started in January. I was going to tell you, but it kept making more money and I got scared. Scared of what? Of this, I gestured between us. Of you thinking I'm some kind of sex worker, of you being ashamed. I watched him process, watched the word sex worker land like a stone in still water. He'd always been progressive. He'd marched with me at protests, corrected his coworkers' language, donated to decrim organizations. But this was different. This was his girlfriend. This was his bedroom. This was his life invaded. "Show me," he said. "Show me the account." "I deleted it today, I swear." "Then show me the bank statements." I pulled up my banking app, showed him the transfers from the platform. His jaw tightened at the numbers. $40,000, enough for the house. Enough for the future he'd been planning with a woman he suddenly realized he didn't know. "Were you ever going to tell me?" he asked. "Yes, when I had enough to surprise you, to show you I could contribute." The justification sounded weak even to me. "You work so hard, I wanted to help. By selling naked pictures of yourself to strangers." "It's my body," I said, defensive. "My choice." He stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the Brooklyn street we'd chosen together because it felt like the start of something real. "I need to think," he said. "I'm going to my mother's." He packed a bag while I sat frozen, watching him choose socks, underwear, his toothbrush. The intimacy of these objects felt obscene now, like I'd sold them too. He paused at the door. "Was any of it real?" he asked. "Or was everything just content?" I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. He took my silence as answer. The door clicked shut. I waited for the relief of being alone, but it never came. Instead, there was only the echo of what I'd actually done, what I'd actually confessed to, and what I still hadn't said. Because the worst part, the part Rebecca knew, the part that would eventually find its way back to him, was that the video he'd find, the one that would make him leave for good, hadn't been posted by me. It had been sent directly to her husband, a private link, a gift. And he'd paid for it, thinking it was a custom request, never knowing he was purchasing evidence of his own participation in the destruction of 3 marriages. That was the real secret. That was the confession I still hadn't made. For 3 days, I lived in the space between his departure and his return. I told myself we could survive this. I'd heard stories of couples who'd weathered worse, who'd rebuilt from the rubble of betrayal. I wasn't a bad person. I was just broke and scared and stupid. Those were fixable conditions. Lena called on the 4th day. Marcus texted me, asked if I'd noticed anything weird about you lately. My throat closed. What did you say? I said you'd been secretive about money, that you'd been spending a lot of time editing. Lena, what the fuck is going on, Nika? He sounded wrecked. I considered telling her everything. The money, the videos, the tattoo, Rebecca. But I couldn't say the words out loud again. They were too heavy. Instead, I lied again. I cheated. Sort of online, he found out. You what? It was just chatting with subscribers, nothing physical, but he considers it cheating. She was quiet for a long minute. That's not cheating, Nika, that's your job. Either he's supportive or he's not. Her defense made me want to vomit. She was fighting for a version of me that didn't exist, a fictional feminist icon who owned her labor. I wanted to tell her I wasn't that woman. I was something smaller. Something that stole intimacy and sold it like it was mine to give. But I let her believe the lie. It was easier than the truth. Marcus came back on the 5th day. He sat across from me at our kitchen table, the one we'd built together from reclaimed wood, and laid out his conditions. You need to get a real job, he said. No more art, no more performances. You need to work 9 to 5 somewhere that doesn't involve taking your clothes off. I stared at him. That's not fair. You want to talk fair? Fair would be me pressing charges for the videos you posted of me without consent. The word consent hung between us, a grenade with the pin already pulled. I felt the floor open up. What are you talking about? The video with the tattoo, the one from our anniversary. Someone sent me a link. Someone who thought I should know my girlfriend was selling sex tapes featuring my body. Rebecca. She'd done it. She'd sent him the link. I can explain, can you? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you committed a crime. It looks like you distributed pornography without the consent of everyone involved. That's not empowerment, Nika. That's exploitation. You exploited me. I had no defense. The words were true. They were the truest words anyone had ever said to me. I was going to tell you, I whispered. I was going to use the money for us. There is no us, he said. Not anymore. He stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the Brooklyn street we'd chosen together because it felt like the start of something real. I'm moving in with Rebecca, he said. She's been kind enough to offer me her guest room while I figure things out. She understands what it's like to have your privacy violated by someone you trusted. The irony was so thick I couldn't breathe. Rebecca, the woman whose husband I'd sold to. Rebecca, whose life I'd helped destroy. Rebecca, who was now offering sanctuary to the man I'd violated. I watched him pack his life into boxes. I helped carry them to his car. I performed the role of penitent girlfriend, the one who'd made a mistake but could learn. Inside, I was calculating how to spin this, how to survive, how to make sure he never learned the full truth. Because the full truth was that Rebecca's husband hadn't randomly found my content. I'd targeted him. I'd seen his comments on a local photography page, recognized his name from Marcus's stories about difficult parents. I'd sent him a free trial link. I'd created custom content designed specifically for his kinks, his desires, his particular brand of marital dissatisfaction. I'd manufactured the entire affair, not as a business model, but as a weapon. A way to hurt someone, to feel powerful, to prove that the world was as transactional and broken as I was. And now that weapon had turned on me. Marcus moved out on a Sunday. The kindergarten teacher, Rebecca, helped him carry boxes. I watched from the window as she touched his arm, said something that made him smile. The smile I'd worked so hard to earn, now given freely to the woman who'd exposed me. She looked up at the window, our eyes met. She didn't smile. She didn't have to. She'd already won. The social fallout was immediate. The school community was small. Rebecca told the other teachers. They told the parents. The parents told everyone. Within days, I had messages from people I'd never met, calling me a predator, a sex criminal, a narcissist who'd filmed their child's teacher without consent. Someone posted my username on a parent forum. My subscriber count exploded, but not with paying customers. With hate. I tried to take it all down. I emailed platform after platform begging for removal. But the internet is forever. Someone had downloaded everything. Someone was sharing it. Someone was enjoying my destruction. Lena moved out. I can't be part of this, she said. Whatever you did, it's bigger than I can handle. I was alone in an apartment filled with ghosts. Every corner held a memory of a filming location. Every object had been a prop. I was living in a museum of my own exploitation. The final blow came from an unexpected source, a lawyer's letter delivered by certified mail. Rebecca's husband was filing for divorce, and he was nomming me as a correspondent. He was seeking damages for emotional distress, claiming I deliberately enticed him, created content specifically to target him, destroyed his marriage for profit. Which was true. All of it was true, but the letter included something else. A detail that made my blood run cold. A timestamp, a date, the night of Marcus's 30th birthday. The night I told him I was too tired for sex, then filmed a custom video for Rebecca's husband, using Marcus's favorite position, the one he'd taught me, the one that made him feel most loved. The video was timestamped 3 hours after I'd turned Marcus down. It was captioned for my special subscriber, who knows what I really need. Rebecca's husband had saved it. He'd shared it with his lawyer. He'd shared it with Rebecca. And now, as part of the divorce proceedings, it would become public record. I had 48 hours before the restraining order would be filed, before the details would leak, before Marcus would learn that his birthday rejection had been monetized, that his intimacy had been sold to the highest bidder, that the woman he loved had used his body as currency in a transaction he never consented to. I could run. I could delete everything. I could change my name, my face, my life. But I knew, with a certainty that felt like a death sentence, that none of it would matter. Because I'd finally done the thing I'd been running from. I'd created evidence of my own cruelty. And it was about to become the only thing anyone would ever know about me. The first scene, I'm at the grocery store, buying food for one. The cashier asks if I'm having a good day. I burst into tears. She doesn't know what to do. I leave without my groceries. The second scene, I try to go to an AA meeting, even though I'm not an alcoholic. I just need to hear people confess. I stand up when it's my turn, open my mouth, almost say I sold my boyfriend's body online, but instead say I'm struggling with a breakup. The words feel like cowardice. The third scene, I stalk Rebecca's social media, see her posts about new beginnings and found family. See photos of Marcus in the background, blurry but recognizable, sitting at her kitchen table. The table where I imagine she tells him he's safe now. The table where she serves him coffee in a mug I don't recognize. The fourth scene, my mother calls. She's heard rumors from someone whose child attends the school. She asks if it's true. I tell her it's exaggerated. I tell her Marcus was supportive. I tell her he left because I was too independent. The lies sound like truth now. I've practiced them enough. The fifth scene, I drive to the school. Park across the street. Watch Marcus carry a stack of construction paper inside. He looks lighter. He looks free. He looks like a man who escaped a burning building. I realize I'm the fire. Rebecca finds me waiting. She crosses the street, knocks on my car window. I roll it down. You need to leave, she says. Now, I just wanted to see. What, if he's happy? He is. He's happier than he's been in years, because he's not performing for a camera anymore. He's not wondering if every touch is being cataloged for sale. You told him about the husband, I say. It isn't a question. I told him everything. The custom videos, the targeting, the way you used him as bait. He knows it all, Nika. And he still doesn't hate you as much as he should. That's how good of a person he is. But he's never coming back, not to you, not to this. She points at the school, at the children playing in the yard. They know too, the other parents. Your name is on a list. You're not allowed on school property. If you come back, they'll call the police. I drive away. I don't look in the rearview mirror. My mother calls again. She's spoken to Marcus. She's seen the lawyer's letter. She says she's disappointed. She says I've broken something fundamental. She says she can't talk to me until I get help. She doesn't say what kind of help. She just hangs up. I'm alone. I get a text from an unknown number. It's Rebecca's husband. He tells me his wife is filing for full custody. He tells me his children are asking why mommy cries at night. He tells me I created a ripple effect and he's drowning in it. I don't respond. I block the number. I delete the text. I pretend it doesn't exist. But his words stay. They take up residence in my chest. Marcus texts me, did you ever love me or was I just content? I stare at the screen for an hour. I type and delete 100 answers. In the end, I send, I don't know how to answer that. He replies, that says everything. I find a video on a forum. Someone's shared my content, not the solo stuff, the anniversary video, the one with Marcus's face, his voice, his body, the one I thought I deleted. The comments are vicious. They call me a predator. They say I should be arrested. They say I'm everything wrong with modern relationships. I realize the truth is coming whether I control it or not. So I decide to control it. I call Marcus. Tell him there's more he needs to know. He agrees to meet. We meet at a coffee shop 3 blocks from the school, neutral territory. He sits across from me, his hands wrapped around a mug of tea. He doesn't look like the man I knew, he looks like a photograph of someone I used to love. I need to tell you the whole truth, I say, not the confession version, the real one. He nods. Okay, the OnlyFans, I didn't just film myself, I filmed us. I filmed you, without your knowledge, I posted them, I sold them. I made money from your body. He doesn't flinch, he's already processed this. Rebecca told him, but that's not the worst part, I continue. The worst part is why. I targeted Rebecca's husband, I found him through your stories about difficult parents, I sent him a free link. I created custom content designed for his specific kinks. I wanted to hurt someone, I wanted to feel powerful, and I used you to do it. The words fall between us like stones. You used my body to entrap a married father of one of my students. Yes, you filmed us having sex and sold it to him as custom content. Yes, you did this deliberately, with planning, with intent. Yes, he stands, his chair scrapes against the floor, the entire coffee shop goes silent. I'm sorry, I say, but the words are too small for what I've done. You're going to hear from my lawyer, he says, and from the school board, and from the police. Because what you did wasn't just betrayal, it was criminal. He leaves, I sit alone. The barista asks me to leave, I've made other customers uncomfortable. I go home and check my email, there's a message from the platform, a user has reported me for non-consensual content. My account is being investigated. They need documentation of consent forms. I have none because I never asked, I just took. I realize I'm going to lose everything. Not just him, not just my reputation. I'm going to lose my freedom. They charge me with distribution of intimate images without consent. It's a Class D felony. The hearings are public. The parents from school attend. Rebecca testifies, her husband testifies, Marcus testifies. He cries on the stand. I watch his tears and feel nothing. I'm hollowed out. My own mother testifies against me. She tells the court I was always selfish, that she warned Marcus I was trouble, that she hopes I get help but also that I get what I deserve. I didn't know she felt this way. I didn't know anyone could betray you more thoroughly than I'd betrayed him. I'm alone. In therapy, mandated by the court, I finally say the words, I wasn't making art, I was making weapons, and I aimed them at the people who loved me. The therapist nods. That's a start, but it's not a finish. It might never be finished. I'm on probation. I have a job at a call center. I make $15 an hour. I pay restitution to Marcus and Rebecca's husband. I attend therapy. I take my meds. I do not take photos. I do not look in mirrors. I do not date. I'm telling you this now because I saw them yesterday, Marcus and Rebecca together, holding hands outside the school. He was laughing. She was glowing. They looked like a beginning. And I realized my confession, the one I controlled, the one I thought would save me, was just another performance. Another way to manage the narrative. Another way to avoid the truth. Truth is I did it for money, but I also did it for power. I did it because I was scared and small and wanted to be big. I did it because I could, because the internet makes us all feel anonymous until we're not. I learned that consent isn't just about your own body. It's about everyone you include in your frame. I learned that love isn't content. That intimacy isn't currency. That some doors, once opened, can never be closed. But I also learned that I'm still angry, still defensive. Still convinced in some small corner of my heart that if I'd been smarter, I could have gotten away with it. That if I'd been more careful, the tattoo wouldn't have shown. That if Rebecca's husband hadn't been such a creep, none of this would have happened. That's the moral ambiguity. That's the neat non-resolution. I know what I did was wrong. But some days I still don't know why it had to cost this much. So judge me, tell me I'm a monster. Tell me I deserve this. Tell me you would never. But before you do, ask yourself, what would you do if your back was against the wall? What would you sell? Who would you sell out? And then ask yourself if you're sure you know what you'd admit to and what you'd still hide. Because I admitted to the OnlyFans. But I almost got away with the rest. And maybe, if I hadn't been so careless, I would have. That's the real confession. That's the gap between what I told you and what you now know. And that's why I'll always be the villain in this story. I just thought you should know the whole truth, even the parts that make me look worse, especially those parts